It is early in the morning and it's October the 26th, and we went below freezing for the first time this fall. So everything is pretty well frozen. If we look at this tray here, it is ice on top and still some water underneath. So yesterday I was moving trees. So in the poly house here, which is unheated, it is empty. So I moved everything from the poly house here into the greenhouse, which is heated. So let's have a look in here. Oh, it's much warmer in here. So in here it's 10 degrees Celsius or 50 degrees Fahrenheit. So all the trees in here are trees that I don't go below freezing, but they need a cool period in winter. So my Sarissa, my Portulacaria afras, my jades, aloe, my African ficus, the Burt Devii, that's going to stay chilled for the winter. My citrus trees, yeah, and a few other miscellaneous ones. My yuccas down here can take the cool winter. Yeah, so that is what the heated greenhouse looks like. And all the tropical trees I moved indoors yesterday. So it was a big job. It was a lot of trees. So let's go inside and have a look at the plant room for this year. Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. So here is the plant room for this winter. Let's have a look at the trees. So here is the back bench. So it is crowded in here, but it's not jam full. You can see there's still some space around the trees on the bench. It's not jammed in like it was last year. On this bench over here on the side, I've got my Schefflera, my Ficus Fancy, my very first bonsai over here, a few other ficus between them. And then on the bench near the window, I've got my baobabs down in the corner. I keep all my succulents in the corner there. It's hard to reach and they don't need much water. So yeah, it's definitely full in here. There's all the trees on this bench. Yeah, but it's not jam-packed. I still have my floor open. Last year I had trees on the floor. It was terrible. It was just way too crowded. So this year I should be able to reach everything, water it. I should be able to pull trees out and examine them for insects. And yeah, it's a little better this year, which I'm glad. So yeah, I think this is quite doable. I think I'll enjoy the plant room a lot more now that it's not quite so crowded this year. Yeah. There's not any other trees that I'd really want to give away. They're all kind of unique species or ones that have been developing for quite a while. So yeah, I'm kind of got my collection down to the bare minimum. Now these trees will grow and slowly get larger, so that may become a problem in the future, but for now, everything's fitting in quite nicely. There's room around all the trees. They're not touching each other. I can do a little pruning on some to reduce them back a little more. But I'm very happy. And over here in the corner, I have my barrel of water, which is full of rainwater. And I've got my heater and the fan on down here. It's just on very low. And I just run the 2 lights at a time to keep, the electricity down. So I just rotate the lights around. So I'll have the 2 lights on this bench on for one day. The next day, the 2 lights on this bench. The next day, 2 lights over here. And then 2 lights over here. So I have kind of a 4-day rotation of the lights. And hopefully that'll be enough to get them through the winter. The main thing is to keep up with the insects, make sure they're not getting scale insects or aphids or anything like that. And I think I can do that this year. yeah, so that's the plant room. I'm quite happy. It's always very worrying bringing the trees in. As the plant room fills up, you think, oh, am I going to have enough room? And I think I do. I think it's quite a nice level of plants. It's full, but not over full. Over the next couple of days, I'll be moving all the trees from the heated glass greenhouse here into the basement. And then the greenhouse will be empty, and I'll give all the windows a clean it all out. And then the trees outside, they'll stay out here until the temperatures start getting cooler, sort of 10 degrees below freezing. And then the more sensitive trees will go into the glass greenhouse, which will be heated over the winter, and I try and keep it just above freezing. And the hardy trees will go off the bench and they'll go into the polyhouse, which is unheated. So that's the plan for winter. And that should keep all the trees healthy and alive until spring comes, which is a long way away. Yeah, they sure got a good frost. Yeah, so today I'm heading to Chris Hendry's. I'm going to give a talk to the Middlesex Bonsai Society, which should be fun. Chris has an open house today. Yeah, so I've got to pack some trees into the car and head off, not too early, but in the morning, and then I'll be giving a talk around 1 o'clock today.
It is the next day now. I had a great day at Chris Hendry's. I talked with the Middlesex Bonsai Society about bonsai and took questions and answers, and I took a lot of my trees down to display them for the club. So thanks very much, Chris and the Middlesex Bonsai Society, for inviting me to their October meeting. It is dawn now, so I thought I would work on my Dawn Redwood. You can see the nice fall colors they get. It's really quite beautiful. Nice feathery leaves, soft. So this tree started out as a little tiny seedling 2 years ago, and I was watching some of the previous videos on this tree, and I thought maybe I got my date wrong, that it's only like 2 years old, but no, it's amazing how fast they grow. So today I'm going to prune it back. Again, my goal for this tree is to keep it as small as possible and try and get all the characteristics of a mature Dawn Redwood into this bonsai. Here is a look at the tree. So there's a coffee cup here to show the scale of the tree. Yeah, so here's the beautiful fall colors. They're just amazing. Every year it gets this fantastic fall colors. So the tree has grown really well once again. It has a kind of a double apex. There's two kind of vertical branches that grew up. The trunk is thickening up. I don't know if you can see it in here. Maybe from this side you can see it's at least the diameter of my finger now. And you can also see I had it growing in a tray of water over the summer, and you can see some of the escape roots that went out of the drainage holes and helped feed the tree over the summer. Yeah, so they're just a beautiful tree. Super fast growing, so I would definitely, if you want to bonsai one of these, I would not put them in the ground. I would grow them in a pot and just, yeah, start with a young tree and just kind of develop it over the years. The last time I pruned this tree, I just did a square cut to the top of the tree, and you can still see that cut in here. It's kind of a flat spot, and then the two vertical branches grew up around it. So I will reduce the vertical leader to 1 liter to try and get, continue the taper of the tree. So one will get removed, and I'm going to prune the branches back. I'm going to keep all my lower branches and probably a lot of the branches. One thing I noticed on the Dawn Redwoods that I visited in the last video is that a lot of the trees had multiple branches growing from one spot. So I'm not going to be doing the classical branch selection, trying to get them all perfect. I'm going to keep all those characteristics where there's two branches going out from one spot, because I see that on the full-size trees, that they're not mathematically arranged, the branches. So I'm going to try and follow that natural style. So it is time to prune it. I'll lose all my nice fall colors and reduce it back to basically a triangular shaped stick, I guess. But I know it'll grow once again, and hopefully it'll just keep getting better and better every year. It's if I can get those muscular kind of live veins growing up and around the branches on the trunk line, I'll be really happy. So that's kind of my goal for this tree, is to create that really old look in a Dawn Redwood in this miniature tree. Before I get started on the pruning, I'm just going to go back in time. I'll show you what the tree looked like 2 years ago, and then 1 year ago, and now you can see what it looks like now. Tree number 2 is my Dawn Redwood tree, and you can see it's just starting to burst out with green buds. I'll show you a close-up of that. So here is a look at the activity on the tree. You can see the buds are just starting to pop out. So there, I've got it bare rooted now. So here is a look at my root system. So you can see it has one big taproot that goes down, and off of that taproot is a lot of roots. So with a tree like this, my first step is to reduce the taproot, and I generally go in about half. So I'm going to prune it off right here. So here I go. Big little cut. Oh, there's some leaves in here. And then I'm just going to trim these roots back in size a bit. Like that. And that will be it. That's about all the root pruning I would do on a young seedling like this at this stage. And my Dawn Redwood is all ready to grow for the summer. Here is a look at the tree today. So it's gone from that little tiny seedling into a fairly large tree. My next biggest decision is where to cut the tree. Here's an overall look at the tree. So the reason I need to cut the tree is if I don't, it's this high now. By next year it'll be double that or triple that if I let it grow unrestricted. If I try and keep it at this height by pruning, I think, all these upper branches will thicken up, and I'll end up with an awkward looking tree. I think I need to do, a major prune to the trunk, regrow a new leader, to try and get a little better taper also. I think the taper will come naturally on this tree, but I don't think it'll hurt to prune it off. So there's all kinds of buds all over the trunk here. So I could basically prune it anywhere, and a new branch is going to grow and take over as the leader. So it all depends on, how small do I want to keep this tree, how much taper I want, how big do I want the tree, 5-10 years from now. Yeah, there's a lot of things to consider. I think I'm going to go off right to here. Okay. Big cut coming up, and I'm going to cut it square. Here I go, just like that. I can count how old this tree is from the rings. So it's 1, 2, 3 years old from seed. So there's what I'm left with. Yeah, it's definitely reduced the size of the tree. Now I do need to shorten these upper branches, so I'm going to look for buds on it. So at the base of this branch, there's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's about 7 buds. So I can basically prune this branch off and it'll regrow new ones. I don't see any buds, on this branch until there's one here, there's one here, there's one here, and there's some out at the tip. So I'm going to totally remove that. I don't want to damage these buds here, so I'll leave a bit of a stump like that. On this branch, I've got
2 buds each side of the branch here, and I've got a bunch of buds at the base of the tree, so I'll prune it off right here. At the back, the same thing. I've got buds near the base, so I can pretty well prune it off anywhere. And then I'm trying to balance, you know, the strength of the branches. So the only other one I think I'd want to touch is this one. And it's got a pair of buds here and a whole bunch near closer to the trunk, so I'm going to take it off here. And I think that one's just a leaf. Yeah, so I think that's all the pruning on the tree for today. I will seal this cut up on the top with some rubber cement. Okay. That's done. I mentioned that I have 2 possible choices for my leader selection. I don't want a double trunk growing up, I just want one. And which one I remove will depend on what I pick as the front of the tree. So I would have one of the leaders coming up the front of the tree, so the scar from the previous pruning is hidden towards the back, so it looks a little more flowing. So I think that's my next step. I've got to pick the front of this tree. So I'm looking at the tree now, and I want to pick a front, and you know, hopefully the front will be a view where there's not a lot of branches coming straight towards the front of the tree, so they're kind of not eye poker branches. But I do need to pick the front. I only have really 2 choices if I want this leader to flow up from the base here. Is here, where there is quite a few branches coming out the front, or the opposite side, where there's a lot of branches too. The best side for branch selection is here, but then my 2 vertical leaders would be sideways, so you would kind of see that point, that transition point more. It would, the trunk would go vertical, and then there'd be a slight movement to the one side. So I think I do want to pick the front either here or the opposite side here. And this trunk line is thinner than the one out the back, so it would give me a little more taper. And the branches aren't quite so strong out the front here, so if I had to remove some of these eye poker branches, it's not as big a deal. So I think I'll mark this as the front of the tree, the thinner vertical leader. There's not as many branches coming out the front. Yeah, I think that'll be the front of the tree. Okay, so here I go marking the front of the tree. I'll just put a loop of wire in the soil here. And I'll be repotting this tree in spring once I notice little green buds popping out on it. And I overwinter this tree in the heated greenhouse here, where I try and keep it just above freezing. Okay, it is time to do the big cut, taking off this vertical leader here. So I'm going to come in as close as I can to the base of it and prune it off, and then I'll nibble it away to kind of make a smoother transition. So here I go, big cut coming up. Click, and it's done. So there's that leader coming off. So now I'm down to a single leader on the tree. Here is a look at my cuts on the tree. So here's the original one I did last year, taking the whole top off the tree. It had a single leader. And then my new cut here. So I'm going to nibble this section away so it heals over and makes a smoother transition, so it's not lumpy looking in that area. So here I go. I'll start removing wood, and it'll be a pretty big cut, but you know, this is a fast growing tree and it should heal over someday and hopefully eventually become almost invisible, like it was never there.
think that's pretty good. So I'm going to seal that up with rubber cement. It worked really well on that big top cut I did. I didn't get any dieback. Yeah, so that's sealed up really nicely now. Okay, so that's the major work done on the tree now. So next I want to look at the branches and prune them back shorter if I can. Here is a look at a typical branch. And if we get in close on it, you can see buds at the base of each of these leaflets. There's buds all along the branch. They're not so visible back here. I can see a small one there. Yeah, they tend to get larger out at the tip of the branch. But they are back here, they're just dormant. So you can see where every little leaf came out, there's the potential for a bud. And you can see it on this one, I hope you can see it, that there is a tiny bud at the base of that single leaf there. Yeah, so I think, you know, if you do pruning, you can basically go back to any of these little points where a leaf was attached and there should be a dormant bud there. You can see at the base down here, there's a big dormant bud here and one here. So those would be useful if you didn't want your branches going upwards. You could prune these branches off and develop these dormant buds next year, and you would get more horizontal branching. But I find, you know, on these Dawn Redwoods, most of the branches go up on a 30-degree angle. So I want my branches to kind of go upwards if possible, especially in the apex. At the base of the tree here, I'm going to remove, you can see there's a lot of old foliage that's pretty well ready to come off. So I'm just taking out all the debris here so I can see the buds and the branches a little more clearly. Some of these leaflets aren't ready to come off yet, but a lot of these lower ones are. You just got to be careful you don't damage the buds in there. That gives me a better look at the trunk. And I'm trying to keep as many lower branches as I can, so the veins, the live veins of the trunk grow around the branches and create a really interesting trunk, just like you see on the full-size trees. Here is a look at the trunk now from the front view. So I've been working on this tree for 2 years, but the total age of the tree is 3 years old. I got it as a 1-year-old seedling. So that's the size of the trunk. It's pretty amazing, a fast-growing tree. I've cleared away all the debris from the trunk line, so now you can see the trunk quite clearly. This is the front of the tree. So I think the next step is to prune the tall vertical leader back shorter, so I'm getting taper and keeping the height down, and then next year from these buds it'll grow again. There's buds all over the trunk. I'll show you a close-up of those. Here is a look at the trunk. So this is where the new leader started growing, and you can see there's buds all over the trunk and pretty well all up the trunk. So basically I can prune it back almost anywhere, and there's good buds on that leader. So where to prune is the question. There's a really good bud pointing upwards here. Some of the buds are more horizontal, some are angled upwards. So there's a really good bud there, there's another one behind it, there's a couple of good buds here. I'm leaning towards here, so I'm going to prune it halfway between these buds to here. So here I go, cutting the top off the tree. Done. Just like that. So I think that's a good amount. Next year it'll grow again and I'll prune it. So I guess slowly over the years it'll get larger, but that's not a problem. I wouldn't want to prune this any shorter, really. I don't think. No, I think that's a good height. I've got good strong buds up here. So the next step is to prune the branches back to make them more compact. So I do want this kind of a conical shape. So you can see on this branch, it's quite a strong branch. There's buds everywhere on it. So I've got to decide where to prune it. I'm thinking because these upper branches are so vigorous, I want to prune them back quite short. And there's good buds at the base. There's some here. There's one pointing out the back here. I'm going to go here, at least for starters. So here I go. Like that. The one that's on the other side, I've got a good bud facing downwards, one upwards here. I've got a side bud here, so I think I'll go right here. Looking better. There's some fronds up top here, so this one at least is just a leaf. It's not a branch. You can see there's no wood on it or anything. There's no buds, so I'm just going to prune it away, just to get rid of it. There is a bud at the base of it down here, which is good. The other one is more of a branch, but it also has no buds on it. So it's almost a branch, but it's not a reliable branch. There is some buds out at the tip here. There's a set here and a set here. I do have a bud at the base of it down here, so I'm going to prune it off short. If it doesn't survive, that's okay. I have a bud to replace it with there. There's a branch coming out the front, and this one has strong buds here, strong buds here, strong buds here, and the tip buds. Not much in this area. There is one here, maybe another one there. So I've got a pair of buds here that are weak, but I'm going to prune it back to those ones, keeping it fairly short. This branch, it's more of a horizontal branch. I've got buds here, strong buds here, more buds, buds all along the rest of it. There's buds at the base, so I could prune, all the branches away, and it would sprout new ones from those buds at the base of the branches. But I might as well keep some branching. So I got buds here, horizontal buds, and vertical buds here. I'm going to take it off right here. This branch, I've got strong buds here, 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 and so on out. So I can at least take it off to here. I'm keeping these strong buds. This lower one, I have strong buds here. I can take it off to there. This one, there's no buds along here that are visible, but there is a pair at the tip. There's some here and here. And again, this is kind of a cluster of branches here. So if I prune it back hard, well, there's a bud at the base of it there, kind of growing vertically. If I were to prune it back hard and it didn't survive, I've got lots of branches in this area, so I'm going to take it off to here. This branch out the back, I've got buds at the base. My first set of buds is out here, so I'll take it off just in front of that area. Here on this branch, I've got, I can see, my first good visible buds are here, weak ones, stronger, and they go stronger out to the tip. So I think I'll take it off here. Rotating around. This one, I've got buds at the base of this branch, and then my first set of visible buds is out here. It's getting kind of long to be up in the apex here, so I'll probably prune it off here. It'll die back and it'll sprout new branches from those buds at the base, but we'll try it. Putting it off to there. Like I said, there are dormant buds. They're just not that visible. This branch, I got strong buds here, here, and more. So I can take it off here. And this branch, you can actually see the buds there, so I'll take it off. Yeah, I've got horizontal buds here and vertical buds here, so I'll keep my horizontal buds. This branch, I got vertical buds here, horizontal buds here. This one's a little long, isn't it? I better take it to the vertical buds. And then I'll take this one off here. Trying to get sort of a triangular silhouette to it. They naturally kind of grow in a triangular form. There's a leaf here. It's pretty weak. I don't think there's any buds on it. I'll just prune it right away. Right off. Now, I've still got a few fine ones. There's buds here, so I can prune it back a bit. This branch, I got buds here. This one here. So I'm just keeping visible buds if possible. This branch, yeah, I've got buds back here. I may have pruned that, or maybe it died off the tip, but I got buds back here, so I'll prune it back. This one, it's got buds back here, so I'll just prune these short. It'll develop from the new buds. This one, there's buds out at the tip that I see. That's kind of long. I'll try pruning it back here. There's buds at the base too. And same with this one. I'll just do a kind of a Hail Mary cut on it. And that leaves my lowest branches now. So this one, I got buds here. There's some visible buds here, kind of along this branch. They're small, and then they start getting really strong at the tip. So I'm going to take it back to here. And this is just a leaf here I'm going to take off. This one, I got buds here, visible buds, so I'll take it off there. And then I've got my lowest branch here. I've got strong buds here and here, so I'll just do a kind of a Hail Mary cut on that branch tip. This is just a leaf. I'll take it off. And this one, I got good strong buds here. There's some back further too. I will take it off to these ones. I'll just remove that leaf. And there's a little shoot here. I'll just take the foliage off. Makes it easier to see the structure of the tree. There's a leaf down here I can remove just to clean it out so I can get a good look at the tree. Another leaf down here I can prune away, and one at the base. Oh, that just pulled off. Okay, so there's a lot of debris in the trunk, and it's starting to form bark here actually, which is kind of exciting. It's just starting to flake off. The reason I'm removing it is I don't want insects hiding in that bark, and there'll be more that'll form in the future. Okay, so the tree is pruned up now. I'm going to stand back and have a look at it. Just removing some weeds. Yeah, so let me get the front of the tree, which is here. So there is a look at my tree now. So it's definitely pruned back in size. I got the branches kind of roughly pruned. There's this one I could take back further. I've got buds here and here, so I'll take it back a little further. This one I can take back a little further too. Yeah, I'll leave the rest. Yeah, so I'll rotate it around so you can see it from all angles. So here's the front. And I do have like some eye poker branches out the front, but I'm going to leave it. I mean, that's how they look in nature, and that's how my bonsai is going to look, at least at this present time. So here's the front, coming around to the right-hand side. coming around to the back. There's my cut up top. Coming around to the left hand side. And back to the front. And the front could change in the future. It's not set in stone or anything. Yeah, so that's the Dawn Redwood. It's definitely making progress from that little tiny seedling just 2 years ago. I can't believe it. Normally, my next step would be to weed the tree, but I'll be repotting this tree in spring. I repot it every year. I bare root it, do the root pruning, put fresh soil in, so it minimizes the weeds. Because this is growing in a tray of water, you get a lot of liverwort and kind of weeds in it. You can even see moss growing on the side of the pot. I've got a bundle of roots growing out the bottom. I might as well remove those. There. So that's my cleanup on the tree. Yeah, so that will sit here in the greenhouse until spring when I see little green buds popping, and then I'll do the repotting. Should be exciting to see the root structure, how it's developed. I've done quite a bit of root pruning to this tree. When I was at Chris Hendry's yesterday, a couple of members of the Middlesex Bonsai Society brought me some gifts, so thank you very much. I got a bonsai t-shirt. So there it is. Just awesome. Thank you very much. And I got a pot. And he brought a few pots, so I picked out this one. I'll show you it. So it's kind of got like a egg shell texture on it. It's really cool. Very unique. So that's why I picked this one, because I've never seen a pot like that, and it's really nice. So thank you very much, guys. Go Jays, go. Cheers. It's still dawn now. We had another cold night last night. It went below freezing. So I had all my jades and my more temperate trees here in the greenhouse with the heat on. And it got down to 10 degrees Celsius or 50 degrees Fahrenheit in the greenhouse here. So when it warms up outside, I'm going to move all these trees from the greenhouse into the basement. It'll be a big job. Some of them are quite heavy. And then the greenhouse will be empty, and my next step will be to clean all the glass, get all the algae off the glass, spruce it all up, and get it ready for another year. So that is all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.